So I just want to show you how things can go when critics don't have their way. Scott Mendelson is a critic, and he's also a guy who reports on box office numbers. And we're just gonna go by this headline here. He said that Suicide Squad, in his review of it as a critic, was worse than Green Lantern, worse than Fantastic Four. I'm just gonna leave it right there. So you know he does not like the film. But the thing is, Scott Mendelson hasn't liked a single DCEU film, not a single one. So this is not surprising, okay? He's actually gives glowing reviews for Marvel films, and he just totally trashes DC films and pretends as if he was going to enjoy the film, and he then pretends like he's disappointed. It's very funny. Now he goes on August 8th to say that Suicide Squad is a bigger disaster than Batman v Superman. So 5 days later, the movie's coming out in theaters. It's been out in theaters 3 days, and he writes another article. This time, again, trashing the film. August the 13th, he talks about Suicide Squad plunging 79%, holding no better than Batman v Superman. So basically, since people listen to Forbes, they obviously go with what Scott Mendelson says. And this is where all the naysayers got their ammunition. Oh yes, Suicide Squad is plunging. Then he goes on August the 14th to say Suicide Squad tumbles 67% for 43.77 million weekend. Alright, so he's trying to show this narrative that Suicide Squad is being destroyed. It's just going through the paces of being destroyed. Okay, it's getting destroyed even worse than Batman v Superman. Then he comes and he says, "Dear Suicide Squad fans, you deserve a better movie." This is August the 15th. So this guy is just completely bashing this movie. He is doing his job to try and hurt the movie as much as is humanly possible. Okay? And by the way, he's a Marvel fan. That's what it is. He comes and then he has to say on August 21st that Suicide Squad tops Captain America 2 and Amazing Spider-Man with a 262 million kume. September the 3rd, he has to say Friday box office Suicide Squad tops Man of Steel. Bad Moms passes 100 million. September the 12th, Suicide Squad tops 700 million worldwide. And this is what he had to basically say in his comments down below. He had to say this. He had to say that this movie besides having the second biggest August release, it has a multiplier that's 2.3x, which is now leggier than Captain America Civil War. 2.3x. And although obviously the opening and closing figures are bigger, that's pretty much where we are at this point. I'd like to dig around and see how unusual it is for a movie to fall that hard on weekend 2 and yet hold for the next few weeks, maybe tomorrow. The interesting thing about this is that Civil War didn't have a cataclysmic fall. Suicide Squad, apparently, according to his information, had a cataclysmic fall and still is leggier than Captain America Civil War. So it's already disproving them. He comes out and he says Suicide Squad is now leggier than Captain America Civil War. He had to come out and say that. In his final article, which was posted today, he says that Suicide Squad and Don't Breathe coast. And when we check it out, we see here that he has to admit that Suicide Squad is doing exceptionally well. Here he comes in the comments, and he comments on Suicide Squad right here. It says, Suicide Squad is continuing to laugh in the face of its critics, and good for it. The DC Comics supervillain team-up adventure earned 800,000, which is a minus 33% on its 8th Friday. Look for the possible 3.2 million, which is minus 35%, 8 weekend, and a 318 domestic Kume, which is really, really good. So he has to acknowledge that in spite of all the attempts to destroy this film and make sure it flops at the box office, it's done remarkably well, and it continues to do well. So, what does this mean? Well, the projection is 3.2 million Kume domestic, which would carry it to 318 million. We'll see how far that 318 million carries and what is the significance of that, right? But as of this time, I'm showing you how haters, they can come from their avenue of hate and things can spin right around and they can become something very, very positive. And what we're learning here, and this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, is that no matter what the pen says or what critics say, you need to go see a movie for yourself. Up to this day, the critics will not acknowledge that this is a good film. Though, obviously, word of mouth for this film was phenomenal. It was better word of mouth than even Civil War, which means people enjoyed this film. And not only did they enjoy it, but it had to be a good film to get those kinds of numbers. Bad films don't get those kinds of multipliers. They just don't. And people wouldn't go word of mouth like that. This film is doing better than all the Twilight movies. It's going to do better than certain Transformer movies. And it's probably going to do better than the Iron Man movies. What does that say? The only Iron Man movie I think that's not going to do better than is Iron Man 3. Okay? Both domestically and internationally. And that says a ton about this movie. And yes, financial box office numbers don't necessarily indicate how good a film is. But when films have that kind of legs, it says that there is positive word of mouth for these films. And that's the difference. This film is got almost, well, it won't get to the word of mouth like Batman v Superman had. I think Batman v Superman somewhere at 2.5, So it won't get there. But it has comparable legs like Batman v Superman. It'll get somewhere. It definitely will get past X-Men Apocalypse. It'll get past them. It'll have better legs than that. So if it ends up at the end of the day having something like 2.3 or 2.4 even X multiplier, that's decent. That's really good. Alright? That's better than a lot of films. Alright? On that note, you guys have a great one.